الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده سيدنا محمد وعلى أهله وأصحابه أجمعين. You are welcome to Daybreak Islam. My name is Abdul Fattah Adeyemi. We want to discuss today a very important aspect of the family unit, and that is the restoring the structure or restoring the family structure so that we can have a better society. How do we restore the family structure? We must have observed that most of the problems we have in the world today, they all didn't just come up from nowhere. They didn't come out from outer space. They all emanated from the family structure, from the family unit. Every child that you see must have come from a family, just like all of us do. We came from one family or the other. Whether that family was in order or the family was upright or not, will find a way of affecting the growth of the psyche of the child or the offspring that come from that family. We should understand also very well that the family is the bedrock of the society. Whatever thing we see in the wider society now is something that could also be existing even at the family unit. So, where did we get it wrong? Where did all of these bad things that we see in the news and some of these evil deeds that human beings are engaged in, unfortunately, where do they all come from? Could it be that they picked it from their families, or they picked it from the streets, or could it be that it's a matter of their peers? Should we put the blame on the parents, or we should hold the child responsible after a certain age to say, yes, you are the one responsible for what you have done? Should we blame the state and say it's because the state doesn't have the kind of law that can checkmate the activities of everyone? No matter what kind of law is in place, we know that things usually start from small and then they spread around like some cancer that will eat up the whole fabric of the society in a negative way. And so this matter is very important and very essential. So we may have to go back to the family now. If we want to solve the global crisis, the global problem of war, of pestilence, of hatred and hate speeches, we want to cure the whole of the world from some of the evils and ills that we all complain about every time. I think we may have to go into the family and begin to make corrections from there. It is said that if you don't know where you are going, at least you have to know where you are coming from. And if we can get the family right, possibly, we'll be able to get every right thing right. Remember we mentioned the other time that the global village, the global room itself is like a family unit on its own. And now, from the big, we can see the small. And from the small, the big can also be reflected. So as a result of this, let's go back to the family system and the family unit. And then we begin to examine some of the value system that Islam has put in place, which we believe that if we can put it to practice and begin from the home, the world is going to be a much better place to live in. One of such very important concept of the value system in the family is the concept of leadership, or what we refer to as leadership values, or the value systems that are akin to a successful leadership in the family. And with leadership also comes what we refer to as followership. If we have good leaders and we don't have good followers, there may be problems. And if we have very good followers and the leadership is bad, then there will be issues. We've seen the father and the mother, that's the husband and wife, as the heads of the family. And the two of them will have to work hand in hand in order to bring goodness to the family. We can use one example of a metaphor of the bicycle that we normally talk about sometimes. From time to time we look at this example of the bicycle. You see, the bicycle has two wheels, one in the front and the other one behind. If we were to look at the role of each of the bicycles, we begin to say which of them, each of the wheels of the bicycle, we begin to ask ourselves which of the wheels is more important. The wheel in the front is the one that is giving direction to the bicycle, and the wheel behind is the one that is attached to the pedal that gives movement and velocity to the bicycle itself. Now we have one in the front and we have one behind. From the normal human perception or perspective, we'll say the one in the front happens to be the husband and the one behind can represent the wife. Now, which of them is more important? And which of them is it that the role is not as cogent as that of the other one? If we observe very well, you get to see that both of them have some roles that they play. The one in the front is the one that ensures that the bicycle doesn't go into the ditch, and the one behind is the one that ensures that the bicycle keeps moving. If a bicycle is not moving, then the bicycle will not stand straight. It's either propped or it will fall off. If the one behind happens to be the wife, for instance, she cannot stop walking. She has to keep walking, and for that reason, the bicycle will keep moving. If the one in the front happens to be the husband, he also has to keep giving the direction. If not, all the efforts of the movement will result into falling into a ditch if there is no proper direction. And of course, the bicycle will not reach wherever it is meant to go if the accurate direction is not given to that bicycle. We should also observe again that the two wheels will have to move in synchronicity. They have to synchronize their movement. If the one in the back decides to move and the one in the front refuses to move, because that's the one that most of the time the brake of the bicycle is attached to, you'll see there will be friction and there will be problem and there will be no forward movement for the bicycle. They have to synchronize and move in exactly the same way, and they have to work together to move in the same pace as movement forward is concerned. There is hardly any way of going backwards. The two of them have to be moving forward, and that is to say that there has to be that cooperation between the front wheel and the back wheel. That is to say also there can be no leadership without cooperation. We cannot say this is the husband and this is the wife, and if there's no cooperation between the two of them, the leader will fail and the follower will also fail. And this can be expanded to every other aspect of leadership in our lives. If there's no cooperation, the bicycle will not stand. If there's no cooperation, the marriage will not stand. Husband and wife must walk hand in hand. The Quran says,
أيها الذين آمنوا لا تحلوا شعائر الله ولا الشهر الحرام ولا الهدي ولا القلائد ولا آمين البيت الحرام يبتغون فضلا من ربهم ورضوانا وإذا حللتم فاصطادوا ولا يجرمنكم شنآن قوم أن صدوكم عن المسجد الحرام أن تعتدوا وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان واتقوا الله إن الله شديد العقاب.
وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان. Help one another and cooperate with one another in goodness and righteousness, but do not walk hand in hand with one another in enmity and in destruction. That is to say that leadership can be leadership, but it has to be leadership in a positive way. People who are criminals, they also have leaders amongst them. People who embezzle other people's property, they also have leaders amongst them. But this leadership is a negative one. The one we are referring to is leadership in the right direction, and that's the direction the Quran gives. Al-birri wa taqwa, leadership towards righteousness and towards goodness. Goodness to all, goodness to everyone. And this righteousness and goodness cannot be compromised as far as Islamic family structure is concerned. Another value system that we need to take note of is the general religious values that we need to, impute in the family, and that we want the children of that family if Allah blesses the family with children. Religious values goes to the extent of worshipping none but Almighty Allah, knowing full well who your creator is and understanding very well what you are here on earth to do. In fact, we can say religious values, we can also say spiritual values or matters of spirituality, matters of understanding the whole concept of existence on earth, the whole concept of humanity on earth, knowing fully well that Allah has created everything and Allah is your creator, is one who has also created the other people that you relate with in the family. That is to say that the spiritual value system has to be put in order to the extent that both the father and the mother, including also the children, they all understand one supreme leadership, the supreme head of the family, That's Almighty Allah Himself. That comes in spirituality, it comes with the responsibility that one person will answer questions for another person. That is, you are going to be responsible for the flocks that Allah has placed with you. That is also to say, everything that you do toward the progress of your family is an act of worship, is an act of spirituality. There's no much difference between spirituality and modesty as far as Islam is concerned, especially within the family. Every smile that you wear on your face, every goodness that you do for your spouse, every charity that you give that you begin from home, every nicety that you do, every good memory that you create within the family is also accepted and taken as a step in spirituality. In other words, we must ensure that we inculcate this value of uprightness, this value of righteousness, this value of keeping to trust, the value of looking at other human beings as family with you, the value of recognizing and appreciating the existence of others around you, and the value of knowing that Almighty Allah is the Lord of all and is the one that will question us about our relationship between ourselves. This is a very important value that we refer to as the religious value or the value in spirituality. Another value system that we need to work on, which is also very essential, is the social value. Social value is explained as how do we relate in the society. It is the job of the parents to ensure that they inculcate this habit of looking at every other person in the society as part of that society, without any discrimination, without any demeaning messages, without exhibiting any hatred or abhorrence with other members of your society. In other words, the bigger society is replicated in the family, and so the goodness that you do in your family, you should be ready to do to others in the society. We shall mention many more of these values that we need to inculcate in our lives, especially our family lives, as soon as we come back from this short break. Please stay tuned. This is still Daybreak Islam. Welcome back to Daybreak Islam. We are talking about the value systems that can make our society to be a much better place through the family structure as far as Islam is concerned. Now, we are looking at the matter of the social value that we need to inculcate in our children, and the parents who need to imbibe and put this to practice when they get to the wider society. Being concerned about others as fellow human beings, and being sociable, being affable, wearing a smile, and relating well with others are all the things we need, and this starts from the family unit itself. Apart from the social value that we need to inculcate, we also have what we refer to as work value, the dignity of labor, the importance of earning a living, the importance of not lazing around and wasting the time. When it comes to work, the efficiency that we need to put in whatever thing we do, the grit and the ability to, to push whatever we are doing to the end, that is, to finish whatever we start. All of these things are habits that we are supposed to inculcate. They are values and value systems that are very essential for every family. When it comes to work, parents and members of the family should also be careful not to let the work take away the family away from them. There has to be that balance in seeking livelihood and ensuring that we keep a good family in place. Nowadays, many people have gone to work, the fathers have gone to work, the mothers have also gone to work. Then the problem and the question is, who now looks after the children? Who inculcates good habits in the children, and who is it that will be in charge of ensuring that the children understand what it is to be citizens of this global world that we have? Work should not be used as an excuse to neglect our duties in looking after our families. You may make the money, you may earn the livelihood, you may be able to pay the bills, but it is not all about money. It's not everything in the family that money can do. The presence with the children, the company of one another as husband and wife, the being around to listen to each other's complaints and each other's praises, all of these are very important, and there's no amount of money that can substitute quality time that families will spend together. It is not just the quality time to enjoy one another. There's also the quality of the kind of children that will bring up from such a family. Children that see what their parents do and learn from what the parents are doing. Children who can imbibe the value of goodness from the parents. These are very, very essential. Well, we can say some people try to manage it, but no matter how much we manage the juggling between work time and family time, we must ensure that we give more precedence and more priority to the family life. These are the memories we can create in the children, and these are the values, or the very important avenue to inculcate good values into the children. Any job that is going to jettison the future of the children, any job or any work we engage in that's going to compromise the goodness and the values that we are going to inculcate in these children, we must reconsider such a job and see that even if it means changing a job to be able to have more time with the family, we should go ahead and do that. The family is very important. They are the futures. The children are the futures of this generation. And if the future is spoiled, no matter what we gather, no matter what we amaze, or what we amass, and no matter the amount of things that we feel we have achieved as individuals, if there is no follow-up, if there are no children to continue from where we stop, that means we have not really been successful at all. Alongside with that value of work value is what we may refer to as the political value. You may wonder why politics. Yes, almost everything in life is politics. Politics and diplomacy in how we exist amongst ourselves. From the general understanding of politics, we should know very well, people say children are the leaders of tomorrow. What are the values of leadership that we are going to put in the minds of these children so that they can take good care of their political life? Political life, as we understand it very well, is the aspect of leadership that has to do with the law of the land. You know, that is establishing the rule of law in the land and ensuring that a particular state or nation is moved from point A to point B with an effective leadership that is not corrupted, a kind of leadership that has the love of people at heart, the kind of leadership that is not the leadership of do or die, like they say. So politically, let us begin to let the children understand their civic duties and responsibilities in the society. It's not enough for them to go to school, learn their things or their trades, and then go to get a job and then think the society should just continue anyhow it wants. No. These children must be made to understand that they should also participate in politics, either as good leaders or as good followers or as good civilians that are civilized. Let me put it that way. Civil society is going to be established by children who understand the politics of the day and the politics of the land. They have to know the structure of the politics, from the small one of a local government chairman or local government councillor or whatever thing it is in that local area, up on to the state and then, of course, to the national level. Let them understand in a place where there is democracy. They should know the ins and outs of democracy. They should know when to come in. They should know how to come in. They should know how to participate, and they should know how to contribute as meaningfully as possible to what is happening in their society. We cannot keep these children in a cocoon and assume that they shouldn't be part of what is happening in the general world. Not only in their nation, also the global politics that is going on. They have to understand what is happening, how they can come in to make this world a better place. With whatever professions that they have, whatever education that they have acquired, that they have a civic responsibility to their country and to their nation and to the world at large, and also in a smaller level to their family. So with all of these aspects of values, let us not forget that these are the things that we need now in our modern day. And there's this very, very essential one that the Quran always talk about, and that is the value that is brought about by knowledge. Knowledge is very essential in the life of every individual, in the life of every society. Knowledge, Almighty Allah says in the Quran, هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. doesn't know. We cannot have a family of ignorant people. We must ensure that these children read wide and they understand their life and their environment. Everything that they want to do, they must put that extra effort in it to, to gather the knowledge that is necessary to move forward in life. We have the knowledge of the deen, that's the knowledge of the religion itself, in the name of learning the glorious Quran, understanding the hadith, and knowing how to apply these to their day-to-day life. We also have the general knowledge of the education of our livelihood, different fields of studies in the medicines and in the engineering field, in the social sciences, and so many other aspects of scientific researches. We also have advancement in technology. The world is not staying still, is not standing still for a particular family to catch up. Every family must ensure that they make the children understand the challenges ahead of them. A child that's going to be relevant and useful in their own generation, every family must make that child to understand that you don't spend hours wasting your time without spending the hours in productive means or towards productive ends. We should let the children know that you don't play all your life because you think everything's already in place. We should make the children understand that the people who have invented A, B, C, and D, people who have invented this and that technology that you are enjoying now, they work hard for it. They work hard and they study hard for it. If we can let the children understand this from now, it is possible that as they grow, they are also in tune with what is happening in the world of technology and scientific researches. These values are very essential. It is not only the school system that can do this for the children, but the family, the father, the mother, and all other people within the family must ensure that they incorporate this value of progression in them. And that's why the Quran says, لَتَرْكَبُنَّ طَبَقًا عَنْ طَبَقٍ. Human beings will continue to move from one stage to the other, from one level to the other, from one technological advancement level to the other. Whatever thing these children are going to do, let them understand that they have to grow, they have to thrive. This room in the world is the room for improvement. If parents can do this, if each family can ensure this, it is possible that tomorrow's world is going to be a lot better and the future is going to be a lot brighter. It is not enough, like I said again, for us to teach them about religion, about religiosity. We must understand that there is that synergy between Islam and technology, between Islam and science. We must let them understand that our role on earth is to worship Almighty Allah in all ramifications. Worship of Allah is not restricted to the genuflections during the 5 daily prayers. It is not restricted to fasting in the month of Ramadan. Worship of Almighty Allah is not only in going on Hajj or giving zakat, but in being assiduous in your pursuit of knowledge in science and technology is also part and parcel of this religion. That is the value system of Islam, and that is something we must establish and put in order. Generally speaking now, to cap it all up, we can visit the glorious Quran, look at the lives of the prophets of Almighty Allah, look at the lives of men and women and families in the Quran. The Quran already mentioned the good qualities of families that you can think about in the Quran. Look at Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Ibrahim was able to bring up his child, Ismail, that is the first child he had. He was able to bring him up with all the value systems you can ever think about, to the extent that even as a teenager, that people will expect will be wayward, people will expect will be, destructive. As a teenager, he mentioned to his son that Almighty Allah asked me to do something, and that is to slaughter you for him. The son quickly understood that, well, if it is God that is speaking, that is the highest of what you can sacrifice. And the boy said, go ahead, if Alma Tuma Satajiduni inshallah min as-sabirin. Go ahead and do what Allah has commanded you. You shall find me as someone that is patient. We can see hearing that from a teenager is something that is sort of a model to say that if we can bring up these children, whatever thing Almighty God has commanded is what they are going to do. And they are going to display their maturity even at young age. They are going to display their strong faith even in the face of calamities. They are going to display the strong grit even in the face of discouragement. They are going to display the strong level of maturity in terms of statecraft, even in the state of corruption in the land, you are going to find these children to excel in everything that they do, even when some odds are against them. These are the values we must put in place for ourselves as parents and for our children that will grow under us. I do pray Allah will make it easy for all of us to do this, and I do pray that all of those children who fall behind and who lack some things in one form or the other, that Almighty Allah will help us to restore them, and those that are doing well, may they continue to do well. Let us do this again at another time on Daybreak Islam. May Almighty Allah spare our lives and ease our tasks. Assalamu
If wisdom could travel backwards, here's what many people wish they knew earlier. Adulthood doesn't mean having everything figured out. It means learning as you go, making mistakes, and growing through them. You can love people deeply and still choose yourself. Self-respect is not selfish, it's necessary. Failure is not final.